The rise of the right? Don't believe the hype. Lately, we've been bombarded with headlines about the far-right threat. They're everywhere, apparently, gaining power, eroding democracy. But are these claims accurate, or are we falling for a carefully constructed narrative, one designed to scare us, silence dissent, and maintain the status quo? The media paints a picture of angry mobs driven by hate. They cherry-pick extreme voices, ignoring the vast majority seeking a different path, a path away from government overreach and towards individual liberty. This isn't about validating hateful ideologies. It's about challenging a narrative that lumps legitimate concerns with genuine extremism. We're taught to see the world in terms of left and right, so-called liberals on one side, conservatives on the other, and moderates stuck somewhere in between. But what if this whole framework is a load of bollocks? What if it's just a way to limit our thinking, to force complex issues into neat little boxes? The traditional political spectrum is like a pair of trousers you bought online that looks great in the picture, but the fit is all wrong. It fails to capture the nuances of political thought, squeezing a whole spectrum of ideas into just two categories. For example, both communism and fascism, despite often being placed on opposite ends of the spectrum, are actually two sides of the same totalitarian coin. They both seek total control over society, suppressing individual liberty in the name of a collective good. Let's talk about labels, shall we? Specifically, the ones slapped onto political ideologies like communism and fascism. We're told they're polar opposites, locked in an eternal struggle for supremacy. But what if the truth is far more insidious? What if they're more like siblings sharing the same authoritarian DNA? Both ideologies, despite their superficial differences, ultimately lead to the same destination, a boot stamping on the human face forever. They promise utopia but deliver oppression. They claim to empower the people while crushing individual liberty. Communism, with its promises of equality, inevitably leads to the rise of a powerful state apparatus. Fascism, with its emphasis on suppression of free speech, also concentrates power in the hands of a select few. The point is this: whether you call it communism, fascism, or any other ism for that matter, the end result is the same. Now, before you grab your pitchforks and torches, let's address the elephant in the room, anarchy. Just hearing the word probably conjures up images of Molotov cocktails, burning buildings, and general societal breakdown. But what if I told you that's not what anarchy is really about? What if I told you it's actually about maximizing individual freedom and minimizing unnecessary control? At its core, anarchy is about self-governance. It's the belief that we don't need a ruling class to dictate our lives, that we're perfectly capable of managing our own affairs without their interference. It's about replacing coercion with cooperation, hierarchy with voluntary association. The idea of a world without rulers can be scary. But what if true freedom lies in embracing our own agency, in taking responsibility for our own lives and communities? Okay, so we've established that anarchy isn't about unleashing chaos upon the world, but what does it actually look like in practice? How can a society function without a centralized authority calling the shots? Imagine a world where communities govern themselves through direct democracy, where individuals voluntarily cooperate to meet their needs and achieve common goals. Picture a society where power is decentralized, where decision-making happens at the local level, and where individuals have a direct say in shaping their own lives. This isn't some utopian fantasy, it's the very essence of anarchy in action. It's about recognizing that we, as individuals and communities, are capable of self-organization, of creating systems that prioritize cooperation, mutual aid, and voluntary participation. Anarchy doesn't mean the absence of rules, it means the absence of rulers. Let's be honest, the current state of global affairs is enough to make anyone question their sanity. We're bombarded with crises, from climate change to economic meltdowns, each seemingly more dire than the last. But what if these crises aren't just random events? What if they're symptoms of a deeper malaise, a systemic rot at the heart of our global order? We're told that we live in a democracy, that our voices matter, that our votes determine the course of our future. But how much control do we really have when a handful of unelected elites seem to be calling the shots? So, if the current system is so broken, what's the alternative? How do we wrest control from the hands of the powerful and return it to the people where it rightfully belongs? Imagine a world where politicians actually represent the interests of their constituents, not the highest bidder or the dictates of party whips. Picture a system where elected officials are accountable to the people they serve, where they can be recalled if they fail to uphold their promises or betray the public trust. This isn't some pie-in-the-sky dream, it's the very essence of representative democracy. It's about creating a system where power flows upwards from the people to their elected officials, not the other way around. Now, let's talk about a topic that's often hijacked by the far-right narrative: immigration. The media loves to paint a picture of us versus them, pitting native populations against newcomers in a battle for resources and identity. But this simplistic narrative ignores the complex realities of immigration and the very real concerns of those who advocate for controlled borders and cultural integration. Let's be clear, opposing uncontrolled immigration doesn't make you a racist. It simply means you understand that mass migration can place a strain on social systems, infrastructure, and cultural cohesion. True integration requires more than just physical presence. It demands a commitment to shared values, respect for local customs, and a willingness to contribute to the social fabric of the host nation. It's about finding a balance between preserving cultural identity and embracing a shared national identity. We need to move beyond the tired tropes of racism and xenophobia and engage in honest conversations about immigration. So here we are, standing at the precipice of a new era. The old world order is crumbling before our eyes, and from its ashes rises a new power structure, one controlled by unelected elites, multinational corporations, and global organizations more concerned with consolidating power than serving the people. This is the globalist agenda, a world without borders but not without masters, a world where individual liberty is sacrificed on the altar of global citizenship, where national sovereignty is eroded, and where dissent is silenced in the name of harmony and progress. But there is hope. Across the globe, people are waking up to this reality. They're seeing through the lies, rejecting the narratives, and demanding a return to true freedom and self-determination. This is the true fight of our time, not left versus right, but freedom versus control. It's a battle for the very soul of humanity, and its outcome will determine the course of our future.